everyone. Good morning. Um, I am going to finish the video from last time. Technical complications. So here we go. I believe in video number 7, we had ended with some hip work. We were reviewing some yoga therapy, some things you might do in the morning. So let's find our Z sit position with the left leg in front. I'm just going to review this again. Left shin parallel to right. And then once again, just sort of coming into a relaxed position for that right hip. Remembering that it's okay if that is leaning over to the left or forward. You want to find a position with your torso that you can relax this right hip. I'm laughing because I remember the first time I did this and thinking, like, there isn't a position I can relax this hip in. But I promise you there is one. So look for that. And remember to flex the toes. So toes towards shins on both feet. You might take a breath or two just to start to settle in. So I'm aware that I'm guarding through my right hip. And what I'm going to do is just make an effort to relax through that hip. And I might start just with a little bit of shifting left to right. So just a little bit. This might, for me, it's leaning a little bit from midline right. Maybe it's from this leaning left to center for you, wherever it is. See if you can relax through that right hip. And I'm just kind of working into it. So I'm in and out, just nice and easy here. I don't know if I've mentioned this in our classes yet, but I'm really grateful for the swim team who's loaning me their iPad so I can film this in my treatment room. So thank you to them. Thank you to Erin Hurley who offered. Also, tons of thanks to Terry Stark, who's been uploading the videos, and Andy Hamilton, who sort of made it all possible that I could teach these classes this way. So, okay, so that's part 1. We're just working in and out. You might also add a little bit of rotation over that right hip. And again, I'm working on flexibility there. Okay, so from here, I might be up on tented fingers. This is where we can come forward as if we were doing pigeon pose. So with my sternum facing forward, maybe I'm using my whole hand down, and I'm using my arms to help support the weight of my body as I come forward. Now my stretch comes into this left hip. And this is a nice, lots of people like this stretch. So you might be hanging out here for a while. I like to maintain this notion of length. So as if my spine was long out of my pelvis here, as opposed to just immediately arching over and resting. But I tell you what, do the thing that feels good for your body, because that's what this is about in the morning. I don't need to work at this moment on that external rotation of my hips, so I don't hang out in that very much. But wherever you are, take a few breaths, relaxing this time the left hip. And then to come out of that, tented fingers, find your pelvic brace. So tighten the pelvic floor, draw the lower belly in gently as you press yourself up back to this upright position. And then we're again going to pitch forward. This time we're going to work on some strengthening of the right hip. So I have weight through my arms here, and I'm just going to pick up that right heel. And so the right knee stays down. That's the pivot point. And then I'm just lifting and lowering that right foot. So maybe you need to lean forward some to do that. If you want to work with being more upright to do that, you can. And then here's the thing, like that hip might start to cramp. We're working muscles at the end range that probably are a little ornery about doing that. I know my hips often are. So if I start to get a cramp, no sweat. I'm going to swing that back knee forward and come onto my back and just do a little bit of left to right to try to relieve any discomfort in that right hip. And I do that, maybe I do it 30 times. You could start with 10. A little bit of that strengthening goes a long way. Okay, so I've done some internal, external rotation of my hips. Now I'm going to come onto my elbows. So here I am in Sphinx pose. This is a position that I like, not because I love it and it's yummy on my body, but I find it to be really helpful. So here we go. I'm going to, my hips are relaxed. My feet are a comfortable distance apart. My elbows under my shoulders. I'm going to push down into my elbows and lift my sternum up. And then I want to my elbows stay where they are, but I want to lift my sternum forward. So I sort of pick my belly up and move that forward toward the front of the mat. And then I can move my elbows forward just a little bit. It's really important that you continue to press down into your elbows here, so I'm not hanging out on the ligaments of my shoulders. So as I get here, I'm kind of working my way from my lower back into my middle back. If you are feeling this in your lower back, then you're not quite getting it. I want you to work that arch up in your spine. So once I'm here, this is a nice position to work a little bit on your neck. So I'm still pressing into my elbows here, so I'm still lifted. And then what I want to do is just allow my chin to drop toward my chest. I want to consciously release my shoulders away from my ears and maybe do just a little bit of left to right rotation here. So remember, we're gently engaging these tissues. This might be a lot of stretch through your neck and upper shoulders. Maybe, I hope, it's just the stretch you need. Okay, and then coming back up. Part of what I'm doing there is buying a little time because I want to be in this position for a little bit. Okay, so from here, let's add a little bit of rotation. So I'm re-pressing into my elbows. I'm going to look over my left shoulder toward my left heel. Come on back to center, over the other shoulder toward the right heel. And do this a few times. So I'm still pressing into my elbows. I am relaxing through my back here. This is passive extension through my back. So I like to deepen this stretch, and you could experiment with this. So if I'm pressing into my elbows, lift my chest, I look over the left shoulder, and then I'm going to press into my right palm and straighten my right elbow. So now I'm adding a little bit of a side stretch. And I can feel this in the front, sort of my obliques, my abdominal muscles over my right side of my pelvis. So here's how it looks on the other side. Coming back to center, I'm pressing into my elbows, lifting my chest. I look over the right shoulder. I'm going to press into the left hand and just come over here a little bit, over to the right. And then back to center. Okay, so from here, if you need a break during any of this, you can always rest your forehead down on stacked palms. Maybe shimmy your hips left to right. You could even push back and find child's pose. Okay, so I'm pressing into my elbows. Now I'm gently going to bend both my knees. So when I do this, my awareness goes rushing into my lower back. So I want to just hang out with that. Can I relax and allow this extension, which has now come into my lower back? So I'm pressing into my elbows. I'm just taking a few breaths. See if you can relax your hamstrings, the muscles behind your thighs. Otherwise, they might be cramping. And if they are cramping, you can press yourself back and sort of stretch them out a little bit. Okay, so if we're here, our knees are bent, pressing into the elbows. I'm going to work on a little bit of strengthening, again at end range. So I'm going to pick up my left knee as if the sole of my foot was going to press up to the sky, and I'm going to do 10 of these. So you just need to lift your knee enough, like as if you were going to slide a piece of paper under there. So this is about 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And now I'm going to do the other side. So come back to center, let your back settle, feel into your lower back. And now we're going to pick up the other side. So I'm picking up my right foot. 1, 2. If this is difficult because you can't get your knees to bend to 90 degrees, that's okay. One way you could also do this is with the knee extended. But what I want to do is I'm still pressing into my elbows here. So I want to do about 10 on each side. And I like this challenge for my back of having both knees stay bent while I'm doing it. Okay, so from here, I'm going to extend my knees. And again, my question for myself is, can I get this to relax without having to put it on a stretch? And, so sometimes I can, sometimes not so much, because it's a rough day for my back. But let's push back into child's pose. So hands under the shoulders, knees wide. I want you to press your palms here and really push away. So whether you're on your mat or the carpet, really press. So I'm pressing my palms away to really encourage my hips to touch my heels here. My neck is in neutral, so I'm looking down at my mat. And just take a few breaths here, in and out. From this position of really pressing the hips back, I can also chin to chest and then lift the chin. So I'm just checking in with that neural tension down my back here. Really, you can do whatever position would feel good to your back here. Okay, we're almost done. All right, let's come forward. I'm just going to come forward with my right foot forward. And here's the thing. Sometimes this is sensitive on my knee, and you can either fold, like if you have a yoga mat, you could fold that over. You could also find a towel or a small pillow to put under that back knee. So from here, what I want to do is bend this left knee, the back knee. Grab hold of the foot from the outside here, and I'm gently pulling my left heel toward my bum. So this feels different than just a quad stretch on the mat, on our belly, But that's our alternative. If this is a position you can't do easily, I'll show you that alternative here in a second. So it's really important to relax the hamstrings. So as soon as you grab hold of that foot, you might push the top of the foot into the hand to try to relax the left hamstring here. Otherwise, it's going to cramp. And that can hurt. So once I'm here, I like to lift and lower a little bit. Just working into this hip in a different way than leaving the foot down. Okay, so from there, I'm going to shift my weight back, and now I've got this nice hamstring stretch on the right side. So if you have 2 books or 2 blocks, this is a spot where you could have those under your hands and do a little bit of maybe pushing the toes down and lifting up. I also like to roll that foot left to right. And take a few breaths. I'm just kind of checking in with my back, my body. How do I feel? Remember, these are sort of the first couple things I do in the morning. Okay, on the other side, I'm going to show the alternative. So it looks like this. If you're not able to be on your knees, then you just want to be down on your belly. And so if I'm doing the right leg, I'm going to bend that right knee, and maybe I can stay up on my left elbow here, catch a hold of the top of that right foot. But if that is still uncomfortable for my back or for any reason, I could always rest my forehead on the back of that left hand. So the same thing, once I get there, I want to soften my jaw. I want to work on pulling my right heel up toward my bum. So here's how it looks if I'm up in this kind of kneeling position. As I start here, I'm again going to put a little bit more padding under my knee. I'm going to shift my weight forward, bend that back knee. Again, right away, push the top of the right foot into the hand. And then I'm just going to hang out here a minute, like just let my body arrive in this stretch. Nice deep breaths. I'm pulling my right heel toward my bum. Sometimes I'll add, so this, again, an invitation you don't have to accept, but I could also take hold with both hands, or sometimes I'll work a little bit on rotation here. But that's more for my back. I'm really sort of interested in getting into my hip here. And I'm taking a few deep breaths. If I start to get any cramps, I'm going to go ahead and come out. But here's the other. We're going to move into the second part, which is shifting the weight back. Remember, left knee doesn't have to be all the way straight in order to get that nice stretch through the hamstring. I'm pointing and flexing with the foot here, maybe rolling that foot left to right. Just nice and easy. All right, so there it is. Those are the movements that I do in the morning as yoga therapy. I do those, complete those, and then I will sit in meditation and do pranayama, the breath work, and then I'll do my yoga, my asana practice. So it has served my body well to figure out what are 3 or 4 things that I can do each morning that would help me to feel good in my body. Some of you have asked me about, it could be hamstring stretches, right? It could be finding a way to work into this. And maybe that is, allow the knees bending as much as they need, coming forward, chin to chest, maybe just moving left to right, just allowing the back body to open up a little bit. And so whether I am going to do a full asana practice or not, this is how I start my day, and I hope it's useful for you to see. And I'll see you on the next video.